Hi, and welcome to Tasty Tuesday, brought to you by Transition Nutrition and Fitness Coaching. I'm Angie, and I'm here every Tuesday to bring you a new and delicious whole food plant-based recipe that you can share with your family and friends. Today we're going to be making a Trek bar. The name may not be obvious to all, so how this recipe came about is my husband is a long biker and hiker and just always spending a lot of time outdoors, and he wanted a snack that was lightweight but full of lots of good nutrition that he could put in his backpack and take with him on these hikes that wouldn't be so filling that he would feel bloated or over full when he tried to continue the rest of his bike or hike, but that would give him the calories he needed to be sustained throughout his workout. So that's what we're making today. Let's get started. You want to begin by preheating your oven to 385 degrees Fahrenheit. Also, you want to take 2 teaspoons of ground flaxseed and mix them with 6 tablespoons of water so it can set in gel. This is going to be your flax eggs that we're going to use as a binder to hold the bars together. Those are the 2 things that you need to prepare ahead of time. Other than that, the ingredients are pretty easy to throw together. We're going to start off with 1½ cups of rolled oats, 1/2 cup of almond flour, 1/2 cup of tiger nut flour. Now what I need to tell you is tiger nuts are not actually nuts, but they are a tuber that has been used because they're high in protein, and that's why I included this type of flour in the protein bar or the Trek bar. I have 1/4 cup of raw sunflower seeds. You can also use raw pumpkin seeds. I just happen to be out of those this morning, so I'm using raw sunflower seeds. 1/4 cup of dried raisins, 1/4 cup of sugar reduced craisins, 1/4 cup of vegan chocolate chips, 1/4 cup of slivered almonds, 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds, 1/4 cup of unsweetened coconut, 1/4 cup of walnut pieces, 1/4 cup of pecan pieces, 1/4 cup of raisins, and 2 tablespoons of ground chia seeds, 1 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon, and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. We're going to mix all that together, and those are your dry ingredients. Now we're going to mix up our wet ingredients. We're going to start with 1 ripe mashed banana. We're going to add to that 1/2 cup of unsweetened applesauce, 3 tablespoons of maple syrup, 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar, and 1/4 cup of almond butter. And this is raw almond butter, and it is nothing but ground almonds. That's very important. There's no oils added. We're going to now add our flax egg, which was 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed added to 6 tablespoons of water. And you can see it gels up, and that's what's going to be our binding agent again. And 1 cup of water. And we're just going to mix that up, and then we'll add it to our dry ingredients. Now we're going to add our wet ingredients to our dry ingredients. You can really smell the ripe banana. We're going to mix it up until it forms a dough-like consistency. Now it is going to be a little crumbly, but it will not be crumbly after it's cooked. I want to make sure we give that a good mix and get all of those wet and dry ingredients blended completely. After it's blended, you want to take a parchment-lined cookie sheet with an edge on it, and we're going to pour the mixture into the cookie sheet. Now that we have our wet and dry ingredients combined, we're going to dump them out onto a lined cookie sheet that has sides on it. And I'll tell you why we need the sides in just a second, but it does make it easier later for removing the bars. You're going to take that mixture and you want to spread it out until it's about 1/3 to 1/2 inch thick. Not quite a half, that's almost too thick for the bars, but about 1/3 of an inch thick. And you just want to keep working it over to the edges of your pan until it's spread out. As you can see, it pats out and fills pretty much almost the entire length, but does fill the entire width of the cookie sheet. We're going to leave these edges so it's easier to take the bars out when they're done so they can get cooling right away. Now I'm going to pop them in the oven for about 35 minutes or until they start to turn golden brown on the top. We'll be back. So as you can see, they're a light golden brown around the edges. That means they're done. They will be a little soft to the touch. They do firm up quite a bit after they cool. So what you're going to do is take your pan and using these edges of the parchment paper, lift it out of that hot pan onto your cooling rack. We're going to let them cool for about 5 minutes. All right, now I use a pizza cutter to cut mine. You don't have to. It's just kind of easier to do it that way. We're going to cut horizontally across and cut the bars in half. Then I'm going to cut them in half vertically. And then cut these pieces into thirds. Now these are maybe a little big for you. I'm making them for a grown man, but if you were making these for your kids, you might want to cut them smaller or have more of a bite-sized cookie type treat. But for the Trek bar that he wants to carry in his bag, he likes them a little larger. Once you've done that, I take just this icing knife actually, lift them up and put them back on the cooling rack so that the steam from the parchment paper does not keep the Trek bars soggy. You can see they look beautiful. And if you want them a little thinner, you can spread them out a little bit more on your pan, or if you want them thicker, you would probably have to cook them a little bit longer. But these make a really delicious breakfast bar or Trek bar to have in your backpack to take on those long hikes or those long bike rides. Thank you for tuning in today. I appreciate your time. I know there are many ways you could spend it. If you enjoy these videos, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps us out. And hit that subscribe button down in the corner. And until next week, remember, plants are the best medicine.